In this episode, we're going to be making 3 simple cocktails using 3 simple ingredients. Aloha and welcome back to Spike's Breezeway Cocktail Hour. This episode is all about simple but flavorful. This is where the rums particularly matter. The technique is very important and the ingredients and the freshness of the ingredients is paramount. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. Now this first cocktail was originated in Bermuda right after World War I, and it was a member of the Gosling's rum family who combined their rum with the local Barrett's ginger beer. As far as I know, there are only 2 cocktails that hold trademarks. One of them is the Dark and Stormy, the other one is the Painkiller. Now we'll get to the Painkiller in a later episode, but for now, let's talk about the Dark and Stormy. It specifically calls for Gosling's Black Seal rum. I personally feel like if you make a Dark and Stormy without Black Seal rum, dude, what are you even doing? You can get mad at me all you want, but it's got a patent, it's got a trademark. What are you gonna do about that? Fight me litigiously? No. This is a very simple cocktail, and in fact, it truly only has 2 ingredients, but a lot of people add a 3rd ingredient, just kind of like a little bit of a bonus twist on it. So we're gonna be doing that version. Now, Gosling's Black Seal rum is a very particular drink that lends its flavor so well to the Dark and Stormy. It's a rich, flavorful rum dating back to 1806. Yeah, super old rum right here. It's got like a seal balancing a rum barrel on its nose, on its snoot, on its seal snoot. It features notes of caramel, vanilla, and spices. It's an unmistakable scent. You can really get the notes of vanilla, like caramel and spices. God, that's good. That's really good. Okay, so what we need for this drink, Gosling's Black Seal rum. I prefer using Gosling's ginger beer. I think they pair so well together. This was formulated specifically for the Dark and Stormy. It even boasts a refreshing zip of ginger. Who doesn't like a zip of ginger? It's carbonated. Wow, it's literally like you just cut a ginger root open right here on the bar. It's just such an electric scent. Now, in all of my years of cocksmithing on this show, like 3 years now, I've come to learn that most cocktails contain about 2 ounces of rum. Of course, with tiki cocktails, that varies up and down, but more than likely, you're getting 2 ounces of rum in things like a margarita, a whiskey coke, an old fashioned 7 and 7. I'm probably gonna like mess one of these things up. They're gonna be like, no, dude, it's not 2 ounces in that. Generally, most mixed cocktails have 2 ounces of the spirit. So we're gonna start here with 2 ounces of Black Seal rum. Oh, dude, we should do this in slow motion too. And then, have you ever heard the spirally part of the spoon is actually meant for pouring sodas down it? Let's see if this works. Oh no. Oh, there it goes. Dude, it totally works. Look at that magic trick. Well, that's enough of that. With all this excitement, I forgot to add ice. Let's add some ice before we get too far into this. And the recipe calls for about 6 ounces of ginger beer. So we're just gonna go ahead and fill this up to the top here. We're gonna cut a little lime wedge here. Go ahead, squeeze that in. Drop it right in. So really the recipe calls for ginger beer and Gosling's Black Seal rum. The lime squeeze at the end, we're calling that the bonus 3rd ingredient. We'll just give it a quick little stir and cheers. God, that's such a good drink. If you're looking for a quick, tasty rum cocktail, you can taste the rum, but really it's a ginger beer kind of story. It's like a carbonated caramel and vanilla cocktail, and it's just delicious. It's refreshing, it's light. So that is the quick and easy Dark and Stormy. Quick and easy, Dark and Stormy. Yeah. And be sure to use the Gosling's Black Seal rum or they'll sue you. Cheers. The next simple 3-ingredient cocktail, the daiquiri. When I'm entertaining, I don't know, say a pretty girl or Macbeth, the first cocktail I always make is a daiquiri. There's something about daiquiris that are so light, refreshing, complex, but easy that I always go to a daiquiri first. Now the daiquiri is a cocktail that actually originated in Cuba, named after a beach in Santiago del Cuba. It was created by an American mining engineer named Jennings Cox, who mixed a local white rum with lime and sugar. As simple as that. You would imagine that Cuba at the time was probably Havana Club, something like that. Now, of course, the daiquiri has been bastardized over the years on things like cruise ships and at Disneyland or resorts. And speaking of cruise ships, you want to come on Spike's Breezeway cocktail cruise? Dude, we're leaving from the Long Beach port in October. Yeah, we're going to sail down to Mexico, to Baja California. Should be a lot of fun. I think half of the cabins are already booked up. But if you want to go on the cruise, there's a link in the description below. Dude, let's go to Mexico. Oh, and the boat has a tiki bar on board, the Bamboo Room. So we're going to be shooting a Breezeway cocktail hour episode on board the ship. We're gonna be like playing craps till 4 in the morning. We're gonna try to drink the whole specialty menu from the tiki bar. Yeah, dude, it's gonna be a challenge. And don't fall overboard. It'll be fun. So daiquiris over the years have been bastardized into like a Slurpee with like grenadine and pineapple juice or like all kinds of nonsense. In fact, I was on a date with Sugar Pepper years ago. Yeah, I know, it was like a thing. And we were having dinner at Steakhouse 55 at the Disneyland Hotel. Really nice deal. And I was like, my good man, I'd like a daiquiri, please. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm expecting like some perfect martini-esque cocktail. And the dude comes back with like this, this big Slurpee like cocktail in a big thing with like garnish hanging off of it and stuff. And I was like, oh, no. And she was like, you ordered that? I was like, no, I didn't mean to. Not that. But so for this cocktail, all we're gonna be using is lime, simple syrup. Now this is one of those cocktails where the rum is paramount. Well, I think all these drinks tonight, the rum is gonna be like extremely important, especially the last one. The last one, you can't even make it without using the Black Seal rum, not legally. But with the daiquiri, the cocktail is so dependent on the rum because the other two ingredients never change. So my favorite daiquiri is Hamilton White Stash. Now, Ed Hamilton formulated this rum specifically for daiquiris. And the idea of a daiquiri rum is lightly aged, so almost totally clear, kind of notes of citrus. Beautiful. It's got a cork. In the comments in the past, people have been like, we can't get Hamilton rum where we are. Can you please let us know a substitute rum that we can use in our cocktails? So, I have 3 substitute rums. Flor de Caña 4 is a rum that you can use for a daiquiri. Same kind of thing. Light, refreshing, fragrant, beautiful rum. Plantation 3 Star is another rum that is popular in daiquiris. It kind of has more of a vanilla and brown sugar kind of scent to it. Incredible daiquiri. But the rum that I want to use tonight, I don't think we've used before on the show. My buddy Josh gave it to me. It's called Probitas. Now, when you're talking about daiquiri rums, this may not be the most typical. It's like a little bit yellow in color, so you don't get the beautiful, totally clear daiquiri like you would with something like White Stash. But the Probitas just has pot still kind of flavor to it. It's like a little bit off the beaten track for a daiquiri rum. So if you want to be true to what a daiquiri really is, I'd stick with these 3 because I really want to drink this tonight. I'm going to be using that. Okay, these dudes, we'll talk to you in another episode. Aloha. Now, a daiquiri is one of those recipes where everybody has their version of proportions. I like to keep it really simple. I like to do 2 ounces of rum, 1 ounce of lime juice, and 1 ounce of simple syrup. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna see if we can get 1 ounce of lime juice out of this. Okay, and then the smaller cup of your mixing tins, go ahead and pour that. 1 ounce of simple syrup. And then, of course, 2 ounces of the Probitas. Ooh, very high-pitched cork tone. And there you go. Wow, there's such a funk to that. And with that, we're gonna add some ice. And shake it. Whew! The tins are frosty and cold. Just give that a whack. Ooh. Now this glass is beautiful. It's not gonna hold all of this, but I wanted to use this glass because it's so impactful. Now a step that I can't emphasize enough, and it kills me when I see people missing this. You strain with like a cocktail strainer, and then you double strain with a fine mesh strainer. That'll keep all the ice chips out of your drink. It lends to an air of professionalism. People will be like, whoa, dude, this is a very pure cocktail. And you can go, yeah, I know, it is. Look at how beautiful this little cocktail is. Now, if you do want to garnish this thing, what you can do is just the thinnest little slice of lime. And I'll just notch this like that. And you can put that thing right on the side of your drink. Just like so. Look at this beautiful cocktail. This is a proper daiquiri, and I'm so excited to drink it. Cheers. Oh my God. It's just light, refreshing, sweet from the simple syrup, just a little bit of tang from that lime, and then the rum comes along and just, it's the main flavor of the whole thing. Well, the whole thing is the whole thing. The whole thing is the main flavor. It's so contingent on the type of rum that you use. I can't suggest this rum enough. It is just a treat. And if my buddy Josh didn't give me this bottle, I don't know that I ever would have tried it. So I do want to say thank you again, Josh, for that bottle. Like, dude. And if you guys have any bottles that you are dying for me to try, go ahead and send them to me because I will certainly give them a shot. You do want to serve these in some kind of stemmed cocktail. The idea of a stemmed cocktail is that you're not warming up the glass with your hand. You know, like if you're holding a glass like this, the heat from your hand is going to end up warming up the cocktail. That's why martinis, things like daiquiris are served in these stemmed glasses so that you don't warm them up because these drinks are supposed to be ice cold. And they were served in such small quantities because you weren't really supposed to like sit and sip on them. They were supposed to be like a, let's get to the point already, kind of cocktail, you know what I mean? And just one of my favorite cocktails of all time. It's bright, it's refreshing, it's just good. It's like the worst descriptor ever. Now, as I finish this cocktail, before we move on to the next one, I do want to say, take a trip on over to the Hula Girls Breezeway Cocktail Hour merch store. There's a link in the description below. We still do have a bunch of swizzle sticks available. And the swizzle sticks that I designed with pinup art by Larissa have like this pinup girl sitting topless on the edge of your glass. Just the first time I've ever seen that done. So get a set of those before they sell out. They are going quickly. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever do them again because, well, maybe I'll do them again. I don't know. But I don't think we're ever going to do this design again because there's other fun stuff to do. So if you do like these, get them while you can. Now, I do want to say before we get onto the third cocktail featuring 3 ingredients, if you want to help support the show, join the Patreon. If you join the Patreon, I will send you this enamel pin. You'll have opportunities to buy merch before it goes on sale to the public. And most every time one of these episodes goes live on the premiere night, we do like a Zoom party afterwards where I hang out with you guys and we drink cocktails and we Zoom together. Sounds like a weird drug thing, doesn't it? Zoom together. But it's really fun to be able to receive direct feedback from the audience and have cocktails together and talk about, I don't know, tiki stuff. Talk about the stuff that we love so much in this bizarre subculture. Okay, let's do the next cocktail. Let me finish this first though. God, that's good. It's just bright. I think that's the best way to describe it. It makes me happy. Daiquiris make me happy. Let's do the next drink. The final 3 ingredient simple cocktail is from Barbados. It's an old recipe called the corn and oil, which makes you go corn and oil. Neither of those sound tropical, tiki. Corn and oil sounds like some kind of hillbilly drink, doesn't it? Like a whiskey hillbilly drink. I don't know. Now for the corn and oil. Wasn't there like a reason for that name? I think it comes from like a religious, like a line in the Bible. I don't know. There's something that refers to corn and oil in the Bible. It exists in the Bible, but it's never been confirmed that that's where the name comes from. So I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I speculate enough on this show. And you guys always let me know in the comments below. You're like, what are you talking about, dude? I do appreciate it when you leave comments below. Just going, that was wrong, or I do it this way, or whatever. Because we're all learning here together still, even though it's been like 3 years. Yeah, rad. So for this cocktail, for the corn and oil, we're gonna be using John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum, Angostura bitters, and just like the daiquiri, this is a cocktail that is heavily reliant on the type of rum that you use. Now, Martin Cate in his book Smuggler's Cove says that since this cocktail is from Barbados, you'd be a fool not to use a Barbados rum. He doesn't call you a fool, but he says, please use Barbados rum. I can hear him between the lines saying, you fool. So for tonight's cocktail, I'm gonna be using a 20-year plantation rum. Look at how fancy this rum is. It has like a giant cork, dude, with its own hat. Oh man, what a beautiful rum. It smells hot. It smells very alcohol forward, seeing how it's like alcohol. As a graphic designer, as a merchandiser, as a product creator, you have to appreciate the beauty of this bottle. This netting around it, reminiscent of like the old rum jugs. Dude, I love this giant oversized cork. Look at that, dude. With a little gold seal on the top. I think this is a really expensive bottle of rum. And I'm not sure if I bought it or usually the really expensive bottles of rum somebody gifted to me. So if you're like out there going, dude, I gave you that bottle. I apologize for not remembering. I appreciate all donations. It's just hard for me to keep track sometimes. When Sven Kirsten was over here, like the writer of the Book of Tiki, we're sitting in my kitchen and he's like, maybe we should have some rum before we get started. And I was like, oh, okay. You want some like Karuba or something like that? And he points to this bottle. He goes, how about some of that? And I was like, oh, I see. I see what's going on here, Sven. So if you can't get a hold of Plantation 20 year, you can also get the Real McCoy, which is another great rum. So this rum is single cask aged in whiskey barrels. It definitely has a distinct whiskey scent to it. Good stuff. But tonight we're gonna be using this. Now this is a cocktail that we're gonna build in the glass, in my 1974 Shriner's glass. You wanna use an old-fashioned glass for this kind of cocktail. Not a double old-fashioned either. Just an old-fashioned's fine, because this is not a giant cocktail. So we just need to start with 1/2 ounce of John D. Taylor's Velvet Falernum. And this is from Barbados as well. So it all makes sense. The original Falernum. Oh, dude, it even has a corn and oil recipe on the back. Very nice. And of course, this is composed of sugar, lime juice, and certain like spices. It's good stuff. Okay, we're gonna build it right in the glass. And then they say 2 to 4 dashes of Angostura bitters. Let's just do 2 because it's a big bottle and it comes out in big spurts. And then of course, for the spirit, we're gonna be doing another 2 ounces of the Plantation 20. I love that. There's like a snap to that cork. One of the best corks I've ever worked with. I've worked with a lot of corks in my day. You might be the best. Now we're gonna pour that into the glass here and we're gonna stir it. We just wanna combine the ingredients here. And now for a cocktail like this, you would typically think that you would treat it like an old fashioned, where you would use one big hunk of ice because you don't want it to melt and water down your drink. But according to the Smuggler's Cove book here, according to Martin Cate, he says the inhabitants of Barbados, the old Barbadians, preferred crushed ice. So we're gonna be using some more pebble ice here. And there is no mention of a garnish. So we're gonna go ahead and give this another little stir real quick. So this is just Falernum, Angostura bitters, and rum. And my first corn and oil ever. Cheers. Oh, that is pleasant. That's really interesting. The bitters are probably the most prominent flavor that I'm tasting, but then they're balanced out nicely because if you just drink Angostura bitters on their own, it's a very bitter experience. I think the sugar in the Falernum kind of rounds that out a little bit. The Barbados rum really impacts this cocktail. There's a bit of spice to this cocktail. It is definitely a boozy one though. I know that it just has 2 ounces of rum, but you are definitely tasting the rum. You know what I mean? So out of the 3, what's the cocktail that you're gonna make first? Mention it in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite cocktail out of the 3 was and send me suggestions for more 3 ingredient cocktails. It was a fun little experiment, wasn't it? What about the slow motion? Did the slow motion feel like I was doing somebody else's show? Because if so, we definitely don't wanna do that. And I've done it in the past, but I definitely don't wanna do something that is out of character for this show. This show's this show, right? Be sure to join us next week on Spike's Breezeway Cocktail Hour for a special Cinco de Mayo episode and how Cinco de Mayo in Mexican restaurants tie back to Trader Vic's. Yeah, dude, if you don't know the history here, your mind will be blown. Seriously. It's a good drink. So I hope you enjoyed 3 simple cocktails with only 3 ingredients. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. And if you don't hit the subscribe button, you get in the corn and oil.